Hello, welcome back to Statman Dave Clips. Today we're going to be taking a look at David De Gea and his performances this season for Manchester United and how he's become an XG eating monster. This video is brought to you in partnership with SofaScore. If you've not downloaded SofaScore, what are you doing? There's a link in the description below. That's where we do all of our analysis on, so make sure you go and give it a download. But anyway, guys, it's time to dive in. So let's talk about David De Gea, a player this season for Manchester United that has come up clutch. Two recent games that jump out to me, West Ham United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. But let's look at David De Gea overall. Is David De Gea back to his best? That is the question that we're going to be answering today. Against West Ham United, David De Gea saved a penalty, a Premier League penalty for the first time since the 2014-15 season. A big display from Dave in goal. The interesting side with David De Gea, over the last 12 months, it's been interesting in terms of his form, in terms of how he's been playing. And if we take a direct comparison to Dean Henderson, a player that came back from a very successful loan spell at Sheffield United, we can look at the stats. So if you combine, have a look at David De Gea from last season, his save percentage was at 67% versus Dean Henderson's at 76%. We compare that to this season, and David De Gea is back with a save percentage of 77.8%. That puts him in the top part of the Premier League in terms of goalkeepers. But even more impressive, I think, from David De Gea this season, if we look at the advanced goalkeeping metrics. So we're looking at post-shot expected goals. So post-shot expected goals takes into consideration where the shot has gone, where it's come from, and then gives it a value, a probability of, how that's going to, the probability of that going into the back of the net, and then builds a model out of that. So the post-shot expected goals for goalkeepers is the amount of XG that they've saved their team. So if we look at David De Gea last season, he's sitting on a negative 0.2. We'll look at Dean Henderson sitting on a positive 0.3. But this season, David De Gea is arguably back to the 2017-18 season, where it was absolutely ridiculous. De Gea so far this season has saved Manchester United an extra 2 goals in the Premier League if we look at the XG models, but also 0.41 XG per 90, basically saving United nearly half a goal a game, which is pretty outrageous. And obviously we look at performances and we analyse certain games. The game against West Ham, clinical, fantastic. The technique as well is an interesting one. The penalty save. David De Gea obviously came off the back of a pretty hard end to the season with the Villarreal game, the Villarreal penalty shootout. But now I think David De Gea has worked on a number of things. First and foremost, I think his distribution is massively stepped up this season. We take an example of that distribution, not only in this West Ham United game. I think he played a really good ball, direct ball to Cristiano Ronaldo to get him high up the pitch, but also against Newcastle United. The pass that led to the Bruno Fernandes goal, the absolute banger from outside the box, was David De Gea, ball in his hands, quick distribution to Mason Greenwood in the opponent's half. Obviously, Greenwood driving forward, ball back to Pogba to Fernandes, goal, but creating counter-attacking situations. So one of the big things that with David De Gea that he's improved this season, I feel, is his distribution has got a lot better, which I really like. And it's something that, it's a part of his game that obviously, it's a big part of the improvement, I think, for this season is how well he's kicked. And we look at the stats over the season so far, again, comparing De Gea to Dean Henderson, to De Gea last season. You can see this season, 100% of his short passes completed, 96.3% of his medium passes. But the really interesting one, David De Gea has completed 28 of his 36 long passes with an accuracy at 77.8. That is absolutely filthy for a goalkeeper. When you're considering the passes goalkeepers are playing, and they're usually looking to hit fullbacks, they're usually looking to hit attacking midfielders or target men, or looking to hit Ronaldo and Pogba, drifting to that left-hand side. Very impressive numbers from David De Gea. And that's what I like about David De Gea this season, is that His XG numbers are fantastic. His passing stats are fantastic. And there is definitely a level here that we're looking at. David De Gea is probably back to his best form, which for Manchester United is only a positive thing. It really is. Looking at that, the penalty that he saved as well, it's a brilliant save. And you could see how far he's got across his goal. And that's something that he's added this summer. And a goalkeeper analyst on Twitter, John Harrison, had a bit of a look at it. What a save from De Gea. He's finally broke a streak of 40 penalties conceded in a row. His footwork looked so much better in the build-up. No surprise he managed to get across the goal. So from an analytical perspective, from a goalkeeping coach and analyst perspective, obviously goalkeepers are a breed. If you start talking about goalkeepers without bringing in experts, they get a little bit angry. But I think what he's sort of looking at is that first step is a lot more aggressive. I went back and I watched the Villarreal penalties, and it was almost like he was playing within himself. And that first step out to get off the line and then power forward wasn't quite there. And we can see how well he gets across the goal and makes the save. And credit to David De Gea, that is something that he's worked on. And if we were to compare De Gea's goalkeeping and penalty stats to Henderson last season, Henderson's got a massive advantage in that. I think Henderson saved around 42% of his penalties, in his career so far. But that is to look at that and think, David's working on this. He's working on his kicking. He's working on his passing. That's exactly what we want to look at. Take the sort of the Wolves games, another game where De Gea massively stepped up. That double save on Romain Sias from a corner was brilliant. The first save, reaction perfect, but his ability to get back up and make that second save, fantastic. And a player that is definitely playing, with confidence, with form, and you look at that as a sort of metric for what's going forward. Man United have got to look. So who's the future for Man United? What does Dean Henderson do for the second half of the season? And I think for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, competition, as Ollie said, has massively improved. The likes of Luke Shaw. We look at Alex Tellers coming into the squad, how well Luke Shaw stepped up. Competition for positions. And having Dean Henderson, a very, very talented young English goalkeeper that will play at the top level to compete with David De Gea, is only going to take David De Gea's level up and only take that up to a point of, being one of the best goalkeepers in the world again. And that is what De Gea is. We look at David in the last few seasons, and maybe his form has dropped down, and maybe this competition is exactly what he needs to get back up to that top level. I think when we're looking at the season that Man United came second under Jose Mourinho, David De Gea saved Manchester United 8.5 goals over a season in terms of post-shot expected goals. So we look at the per 90 metrics now. So we compare that 8.5. Obviously, this season is only sitting at 2 so far. But per 90, it's almost double it was of that season he bailed Jose Mourinho out and United came second. And that is the level I think David De Gea is playing at the moment. It's superb. And to answer that question on what Man United should do with Dean Henderson in there, Dean Henderson should play all the cup games, should play all the group games in the Champions League, and should get the game time doing that. And that's a lot of games. You see Pep Guardiola do that with Man City, with Statman, with Ederson. And I feel like Man United need to do that because they've got two very, very good goalkeepers. The big thing is injuries as well. If a keeper breaks a finger, you've got a brilliant backup there in Dean Henderson. And Dean Henderson was definitely pushing David De Gea for that first, the first team jersey for sure. Massively, massively pushing him in terms of his performances. But I feel now David De Gea has come back, shown what a good goalkeeper is so far this season. If he can continue that, he could be breaking expected goals records. And we know Emi Martinez did well last season for those XG records, but David De Gea could definitely be there. Take into consideration another weakness of Manchester United, conceding from, set pieces. Only 7 teams in the Premier League yet to concede a goal from a corner kick. Man United are one of them. By comparison, United conceded 9 goals from corner kicks last season, one of the worst records in the league. United have improved their their back line, with obviously the signing of Rafa Varane. They've also brought in a new coach, Eric Ramsey, for set pieces. And I think that's given David De Gea more confidence to be there and say that. And you could argue that David De Gea has won Man United 6 points this season already. Thanks for watching, guys. Get into the comments below. Is David De Gea the best keeper in the world right now based on the stats and form? This video is brought to you in partnership with SofaScore. Go and give their app a download, link in the description below. And of course, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.